Hey guys, what is up? It's your girl, Grace Tori, and I am back with a whole new podcast episode. Today we are diving into wedding drama, which, as you know, it's probably my favorite type of drama if we had to pick, because family drama is crazy, but it's always heightened at weddings. So you get like the best of both worlds. We're always here for it. And as a nosy bystander, I really, really appreciate that. So, if you are here for the first time, my name's Grace. Welcome. We listen to stories. This is for the people who really like to hear about the tea, but don't like to be involved in the tea. If you're that person, this place is for you. If you're on a platform where you can comment, like, subscribe, follow, whatever the term is, definitely do so if you want to see more of that. And definitely let me know your thoughts on these episodes as well as, like, the stories themselves. Because I want to know. Like, I share my opinion, so it's only fair you share your opinion, and then we talk about it in the comments, right? Yeah, I love to see it. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's episode. I'm Grace Tori, and you're listening to That Girl, the podcast. Grab a beverage of choice and settle in, because the new episode is starting now. So I got my laptop to read these stories off. If I'm looking down, as you know, that is what I'm looking at. But we've got quite a few stories to get through today. Starting off strong, all of these are from Best of Redditor updates because I love a conclusion. They're very important to me. And all of these have them for the most part. And this one specifically is from 20 days ago. So it is titled, Am I Overreacting for Calling Off My Engagement After My Fiance Admitted His Family Secretly Tested Me to See If I Was a Gold Digger? It was originally posted on February 20th, 2026. It was posted in Am I Overreacting? If that matters. I try to link all of the stories in the description if you want to read the comments. But like I said, they should all be concluded. So in theory, there shouldn't be an update, but there always can be. Using the throwaway because my fiance is an occasional Redditor and I really don't want him to find this. I, 24 female, have been with my fiance, 27 male, for almost 4 years. He has a really well-paying job in tech, and I make pretty average money. We've always split things fair, and I've never asked him for expensive stuff or trips or anything. I honestly thought money was a non-issue for us. I never was interested in him for his money anyways. I mean, so he was, 23 when you guys started dating? How early in his career was he? Because, I know a lot of times, especially for people in their 20s, when you start dating, they don't have money. Like, when Josh and I started dating, we were both in college. Neither of us had money. And we're still working our way to, a financially stable place. But we definitely have way more money than we did when we were in college and, working college jobs. So, yeah, that I feel like, where are we at there? Because you were 20 and he was 23. So I wonder, he was probably in an entry-level job, assuming he went to college and did the 4-year path that people typically do, but you never know. So I don't know. We genuinely clicked so well, and I loved his personality. We are into the same nerdy things, and his family seemed to really like me. I never thought I would have to worry about our relationship going south until now. A few days ago, my fiance sat me down and said he had something he wanted to tell me, and he was smiling like it was good news. He basically told me that his family has been secretly testing me for the last 11 months to make sure I wasn't a gold digger. He said they were worried I only liked him for his income and wanted proof before we got married. No. He should not have agreed to that. Full stop. Before I read more, he should trust you enough. If he's literally engaged to you and you've been dating for 4 years, there should be enough trust in that relationship that he should have just told his parent or his family to F off, that they were ridiculous. But we're gonna finish the story, but that's where I stand as of right now. The test was that they all made it seem like he was struggling financially and might lose his job. His mom would casually bring up layoffs, his dad talked about how unstable tech is, and slowly it turned into he might actually lose his job, and you guys might have to really downsize. At one point, his mom even told me I should be prepared to financially help him if it came to that. I never wanted to bring up the possibility of a layoff for him because I didn't want to stress him out. Yeah, I mean, if I was in your shoes, I probably would have brought it up to him in private and said, hey, your parents are saying this, is everything okay? But not from the point of, where's the money coming from? From the point of, do I need to help you? Do I need to reach out to people and, see if you're looking for a job, I need to, reach out to my network. Is there something going on? Do we need to, Josh is kind of going through a career change, and have been, like, talking about, like, "So what do you wanna do for the rest of your life? Like, what do you want your career to be? Like, what are you thinking about?" And it's not from a place of, like, anxiety because obviously, like, it's, like, finances. Finances can be anxious, but from a point of, like, you can do literally whatever you want. So let's talk about it. Like, what do you wanna do? Because 'Cause we're a team. Like, finances doesn't even really come up. It's just like, when we get down to it and I put my business hat on, I'm like, "Okay, so what do you wanna do? Okay, where would you start with that? Okay, how long would it take for you to make money off of that if you were to, like, start a business or do something?" Just so that we can be prepared and we're not jumping into something that will leave us, like, homeless. Like, it's not even about the money. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you have a partner, I feel like you should have those conversations. So I don't know if necessarily, like, not talking to him because you don't wanna stress him out is the smart move. I feel like you should have talked to him, but not from the money aspect, more so from the "Are you okay?" aspect. Like, "I know this is stressful. Is this something that we need to explore and talk about more as, like, a team?" You know what I'm saying? I wanted to be prepared to support him if needed, so I started budgeting more, saving money, cutting back on random spending, skipping stuff I wanted, and just generally trying to prepare for the worst. I constantly reassured my fiance, encouraged him, told him we'd be fine, that I didn't care about money, that I just wanted us. Okay, so you were having conversations about it. If you were, then yeah, that's what you should be doing. It's just being like, "We're gonna be fine. Like, this opens so many doors for us. Like, if you wanna do XYZ, I'm gonna support you no matter what. Like, no matter what your job title is. As long as you're doing that, then yeah. Yeah, I was okay." But this whole thing was fake. His job was never in danger. His income never changed. There were no layoffs. His family literally planned this whole thing together. They kept it going for almost a year. Subtle comments made him passing to manipulate me and test me. Apparently, this all started because his older brother went through a really messy divorce. His brother now pays a ton in child support, and his ex wife got a lot of money in the divorce, and his family blames her and thinks she was a gold digger. So now they're super paranoid about any woman who dates one of their sons. The thing is, I've actually met his brother's ex-wife before. She was dropping off the kids at a family night, and she seemed really nice and normal. I never once got gold digger vibes from her, and honestly, it makes me uncomfortable how they demonize her. Yeah, it sounds like the family is like it's giving like mama's boy energy, like my boy could do no wrong, but it's the whole family. Also, why didn't they just do a prenup? I don't understand like all of the uncomfortability around prenups. A little bit of a Love Is Blind spoiler. I know they brought up prenups on there. I haven't finished it yet, but I just got to like that episode because I'm really behind. And she got so uncomfortable. And I get like the thought of like, why are you planning to leave me? But it's also like, no, this is protecting both of us. And like, you never know what's going to happen. And I'm not against a prenup, especially if you make a lot of money or you are a business owner or you have a lot of assets. Like, I don't see an issue with it, and I'm like, if like, I don't know. It's up to every single person, but I'm just saying prenup would have solved that. Um, and maybe he cheated and they had a prenup, and a lot of times when you cheat, the prenup is, like, not valid anymore. I don't know. Just a thought, but we're gonna keep reading. My fiance said his parents finally told him that I passed and that they felt comfortable with him marrying me now. Well, thank God he got their permission. It's not like he's what, 27? Yeah, he's 27. Well, thank God. He said he wanted to tell me because he thought I'd be relieved to know he actually isn't struggling financially, and that it shows how much his family cares about protecting him. No, it shows how much his family is against you. Like, that would make me so uncomfortable. Then he tells me to celebrate. He upgraded our honeymoon to a nice luxury resort in Hawaii. I mentioned this resort when initially honeymoon planning, but deemed it too expensive, so settled for a more modest option. But I feel weird about it. I don't want to be rewarded for being manipulated really well. Like, good job, we tricked you, and you were so gullible, you believed it. Here's a nicer vacation. Yeah, Bessie, this whole thing is like a red flag. I told him I felt manipulated, embarrassed, and honestly humiliated that his whole family was watching my reactions and judging my character behind my back for almost a year. He said I'm looking at it wrong and that I proved I'm not with him for his money and that this should make me feel more secure in a relationship. But I feel like her actions this whole time should have proved that. They shouldn't have had to test her. Either you trust her or you don't, and he should have gone to bat for her. I wish I could ask my family that what they thought, but unfortunately my mom passed away 2 years ago and I don't have a relationship with my father. I'm so sorry. That is really, really tough. I'm feeling sad and lost because I don't have a reliable second opinion to lean on. His family had become my family. That's what makes this even harder. His family is acting like this is totally normal and that I should be proud of myself. His mom literally said most girls wouldn't have handled that so gracefully. No, most girls would have, actually. It just sounds like no woman is, like, good enough for your sons. Again, like, I don't wanna get too into, like, the sister-in-law and the brother because, like, we don't know that story, so I can only go off of what you've said. But if she truly didn't do anything and based on how they're treating you, it sounds like they just are like, "Women suck. My boys are incredible. They can never do anything wrong." I told him I need space and I'm seriously considering calling off the engagement, but I honestly don't know what to do. I love him and this is so out of left field. Now everyone's acting like I'm blowing this out of proportion and being dramatic. Part of me wonders if I am, but another part of me feels like my trust is completely broken. Am I overreacting? I'm not sure if tests like this are normal. I feel weird about it. I don't know. Please help. And then there is an edit. A couple people are asking why he didn't just ask for a prenup. See? Same thoughts. We actually did discuss this before we got engaged, and I told him I would be open to a prenup. I brought this up when he confessed, and he said he wasn't necessarily worried about divorce. The whole thing was about testing my character and making sure I was a morally good person before he married me. He should have known whether or not you were before he even, like, proposed. You should know that pretty soon in your relationship. Like, what is it? They say, like, it takes 6 months and then, like, the mask comes off. Like, people can only be someone that they're not for, like, 6 months. You've been together for 4 years. So, he should know that. It doesn't make much sense to me and feels like his whole family went way out of their way to do some stupid morality test. I've never even given the indication that I'm shallow, so it really hurts. I just think they are suspicious of any outsiders who come to their family. Also, I misspoke when I said the Hawaii resort was all-inclusive. I guess I've used that word interchangeably for describing a really nice resort. Here is a couple top comments. In their effort to prove that you are a morally decent person, they have proved that they are not. That's what I'm saying. Someone commented in response to that and said, they thought she wasn't good enough for him. They're not good enough for her. Exactly. There is an update from the next day, so February 21st, 2026. And it's update number 1. There's one more after that. So this one says, I'm really sorry. I've never posted on Reddit before. I've always just lurked, never posted. I wasn't sure how I'm supposed to give an update. I replied to a comment but didn't know if that was correct, so here's the update here as well. Thank you for all of your comments. It means so much to have so much support and validation. I knew right away deep down that this was wrong, but I needed validation as bad as that sounds. No, I get it. Like, I'm a people pleaser and I never want to create any conflict unless I ask other people first. And that's, like, something that's not great. Like, I feel like we're all working on that, and you need to be confident in yourself and, like, your intuition, but I get it, especially because you're 23, like, you're so young, Bessie. Or 24. You are so young. You're just a girl, quite literally. Not to take away, like, your adulthood, like, you know what I mean? But, like, we're all just girls. We're all just a girl. Like, I get it. I don't have close family or many friends, so hearing that my feelings are normal makes me feel less alone. This happened a couple of days ago. I'm still staying with my fiance right now, but things are tense and I feel pretty anxious all of the time. He knows I'm upset and knows I need space, so he hasn't tried to talk about it since. He knows I'm considering calling off the engagement, which is why I think he's been so sensitive around me the last few days. He hasn't been acting like it's a positive thing anymore and seems pretty remorseful since I told him how much it hurt me. This morning, I asked him if he knew about it the whole time, and he told me that his parents started making the comments without his knowledge. And after he overheard a comment they made to me while over at his parents' house, he asked them privately why they said that, and they explained they were testing me. He decided to let them continue just to see what I would do. From past interactions with his parents, I also know he has a hard time standing up to them or disagreeing with them, so it honestly makes sense that he didn't call them out and just start going along with it. No, no. This is that whole thing that I say a lot where, like, there's reasons and then there's excuses. He can use in the past, like, he doesn't stand up to them as a reason, but that's not an excuse. Like, there's always a time where you should start. And if you're defending, like, your soon-to-be wife, that is the perfect time. And so I personally think that you should leave him. And then this is a lesson for him that he should stand up to his parents. And hopefully, like, for the next person, if there is one, he stands up to them if they try this stupid test again. They told him that they were offended when I suggested an expensive resort for the honeymoon and made a comment insinuating that his parents would be paying for it. Huh? Okay. Moving. Let's hear about this. They got it in their head that I just expected them to shoulder the cost of an expensive resort without question, which isn't true. I happily accepted for a more modest option when they suggested it because I don't want to seem pushy or entitled. Plus, typically the groom's family pays for the honeymoon, so I didn't know they were offended by that. Maybe I really did come off as entitled, but that was honestly never my intention. I didn't know that, but I also don't know a ton about, like, traditions and, like, your family, I assume is not paying for the wedding because you said you didn't have, like a relationship with your dad, so I don't know, like, are you guys paying who's paying for the wedding? Because in my opinion, if you're doing one tradition, it would be fair to do both, and then if you're not able to do one, you just don't do either. But I don't know. I can understand that being, like, a naive thing where you just, like, assumed. So, okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Regardless, I don't think that justifies testing me like this. I agree. I think either way, the test is wrong. What happened to just communicating? What happened to hi, hello? What happened to let's sit down at dinner and talk about how that made them feel? I don't know, just like adulting. He wasn't the mastermind, but he never stopped them and didn't see why it was wrong or manipulative until I told him how upset I was. A part of me wonders if he was manipulated by his parents to think this was acceptable. I'm torn between calling it off or having a conversation with him and asking him to go to couples counseling and set boundaries with his parents. Okay, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but you're always going to have these parents like in your life. They're always going to be his parents. I also see some suggestions recommending that I talk to his brother's ex-wife. I think that's a good idea, but I'm honestly really nervous about it. I don't have her number, but I follow her on Instagram, so I'm considering DMing her and asking to call her. Yeah, I don't know if she would go to anyone in the family, but say she did, that could explode really badly. I'm never a fan of like bringing more people into it, but it would be nice to have additional context about that and hear like the other side of the story. I'm pretty overwhelmed with the attention this post is getting, but I'm super appreciative of everyone's support and love. I think I realize I have a people pleasing tendency and I need to keep the peace, but I'm trying to force myself to break out of that. It's all just really scary and I feel really lonely. My natural indication is to forgive and forget so that I can still have a family. I know that's not the best idea. I know change needs to happen. I'm still figuring out where to go from here. I'm sorry. Like, this is really hard. I know that there's like no correct way to go about it, but I also want you to know that you deserve the entire world. Like, in the event that you're like watching this, you deserve so much and better than what this family is giving you. Also, if you guys ever have children, your children are going to be around these people. So, like, if you're having a hard time leaving for like yourself, think about how your kids are going to have a relationship with your husband's family in the future. And so if you can't do it for yourself, can you do it for like your kids, or are you going to be okay with your kids being a part of that? That's something to think about. So OOP did leave a comment on this, and someone said, plus typically the groom's family pays for the honeymoon. And then someone said, this is a thing in 2026. Has that ever been the case? Regardless, much like bride's family pays for the wedding, it's no longer the case for much of society. Thank God someone brought this up, so maybe this will answer my question. OOP said, I guess you're right. My fiance and I have been putting aside money to pay for the wedding ourselves. My family isn't in the picture, so we never expected financial help from that end. Maybe it's outdated for me to make that assumption. I now feel embarrassed about that comment. I still don't think it justifies the testing, though. Yeah, I don't want to be too hard on you. I get that. But, like, yeah, either way, it doesn't justify that. So now is update 2. This is from February 23rd, 2026, so 2 days from the original post and 1 day after the update. Well, my fiance found this post. Honestly, I feel pretty stupid for thinking he wouldn't find it. Girl, you need to stop putting yourself down. You keep saying, like, I feel embarrassed I said that. I feel stupid I did this. Like, I feel dumb for feeling this way. Stop. Like, your emotions are valid. Whether they are correct or not, like, I personally think they're correct, but whether he assumes they're correct or not is his thing. Like, stuff like this is very subjective based on, like, the person's moral thoughts or, their beliefs and things like that. So some people may read what you're saying and be like, wow, that sucks. But that doesn't mean that they're not valid. Like, someone can disagree with you and that doesn't invalidate your thoughts or your emotions. It just is not like black or white. So stop saying you're dumb because you went to Reddit. Stop saying you feel embarrassed because you didn't know something. Like, all of those are completely valid and you're okay. Like, you're good. You're good. I didn't expect this post to get as much attention as it did, so thank you all for that, but I was extremely detailed, which was kind of dumb. I don't think you were, though. Comparatively, like to other posts, I really don't think so. He saw the post and immediately clocked that I wrote it. He came to me yesterday with the post, and I was super afraid he would be angry, but he was actually very understanding. He said reading the comments was super eye-opening to him on just how messed up the situation was. He feels bad that he ever even tried to spin this in a positive light. We had a pretty deep conversation, and he came to realize that he has been manipulated very heavily by his parents and family. When his parents justify something, even if it's bad, his brain will immediately try to justify it too because differing opinions were not allowed in his household growing up. This whole situation has started the realization for him that he grew up in a manipulative and emotionally bad household, but was never given space to realize it because they had an extreme us versus them mentality. So even when an extremely normal, well-intentioned person comes into the family, aka me and his brother's ex, they will do anything they can to invalidate their character because they are uncomfortable with outsiders. I have learned a lot about myself through this situation as well. First of all, I'm emotionally vulnerable and need therapy very badly. My need to belong has caused me to stay in situations that are unhealthy for me just because I'm so desperate for a family. I know that's bad and I know it will be hard, but I want to change. With that being said, even though my fiance was very remorseful and apologetic, I told him I want to call off our wedding and take a break from our relationship. We both have issues we need to work on by ourselves before we ever consider joining in marriage. I want to figure out who I am without someone to lean on, as painful as that may be, and he needs to seriously evaluate his relationship with his family and how they have affected him. I told him that if in the future we find ourselves emotionally healthy and the timing works out, maybe we can be together again, but for right now, that's not the case, so we need to go our separate ways. We still live together, and I don't exactly have anywhere to go, so my fiance said he will move out and try to find other living arrangements. He will pay his portion of the lease until I find another roommate. Again, thank you all for your comments and support. They mean a lot to me. Wow, okay, so I feel like that was kind of upsetting that, like, you guys broke up, but I do think it's for the best. Like, it's always best to. I was reading something yesterday, and I was talking about how, like, you shouldn't someone else shouldn't complete you. You should be whole as a person, and then that other person should add value to who you are, but you should be good on your own. So I think it's good for everybody to figure out who they are and be good on their own before they try to add somebody else. And more often than not, like, you're gonna find your person when you don't need them versus when you're looking for someone, as cliche as that is. He definitely needs to figure his stuff out. I hope that it works out for you guys down the road since he, like, realizes it. But would it be the worst thing if you didn't end up with their family as, like, your in-laws? Maybe not. So the top comment for this is the real test was whether she put up with the manipulation. Like, I'm sure it's a bonus that they confirmed OOP isn't a gold digger, but this was really about seeing how she reacted to their manipulation before ramping up to full-blown emotional bad things after the wedding. And then the top response to that is, it doesn't even sound like OOP's ex-fiance has any significant gold to dig. He has one well-paying job. Like, all right, what happens if he gets fired tomorrow? Is he the gold digger then? That's true. And, like, that shouldn't even be a conversation. Like, okay. So, yeah, what are your thoughts on that one? Comment down below if you can. But let's move on to the next one. So this one is titled, I, 33 female, don't want my friend's 34 female, legitimately mental ill wife, 48 female at my wedding. Okay. I want to see where this goes. I'm getting married in December, and my partner and I are looking to have a mid-sized party, probably about 75 people, comprised of our social, familial, and professional circles. Oh, this was also posted in May of 2023, if that matters. I am 33 female, partner is 34 male, and my friend Anna is 34 female. Her wife, Bernice, is 48 female. We are in Canada. Anna is my best friend from uni. Anna is divorced with 2 kids and has been married to Bernice for 5 years. Bernice loves Anna, and that's about it. Bernice is happily and consistently unemployed. Bernice has never attended or hosted a social event in anything other than a crop top and knee-length pencil skirt. Neither fit. Bernice has 2 points of conversation: alien abductions and the 2008 blockbuster video game Lego Indiana Jones. Okay, wait, that was a pretty good game. I see her point there. Just saying. Attempts to gently lead conversation beyond those points proves futile, unless Bernice thinks the person in question may want to have, um, sexy time, in which case she suddenly develops the cognizance to switch topics and ask them so directly. Oh? But, like, is she in an open relationship? I don't think anyone has ever taken Bernice up on her offers to have sexy time with them at random, largely due to the above, but also likely due to the fact that she rarely, if ever, showers or grooms. Okay, why was she like this when they got married? Because I know a lot of people like this, and they truly, like, frustrate me hopefully you explain what the mental issues are, but, like, I know a lot of people like this, and they probably have, like, ADHD or something, but it's like, you have to help yourself. Like, I have severe ADHD. I have severe OCD. I have a couple other things, and I've been in this place. But it was like, you have to be strong enough to get yourself out, and if other people are around, like her wife, like, why is her wife not helping her if she's not strong enough to do it herself? Like, this is clearly an issue. I don't know. I know a couple of people like this, and they just anger me because so many people have tried to help them, and they refuse to accept the help, and at what point is it like, you need to get your shit together, like, you're shaking them, like, you need to just stop being nice and, like, be, like, bad cop because good cop isn't working. But, ooh, okay, let's see if, like, you explain what her mental sitch is and we get more context. I've seen this happen at birthday parties, game nights, bar crawls, grocery stores, and school events. Nobody in Bernice's social circle has ever excluded her from participating in anything. It's probably pretty obvious that Bernice is neurodivergent, but to nobody's surprise, she leverages neurodivergence as a mean of asserting how special she is, instead of using it as a pathway to improve her relationships and sense of self. She is perfectly content to exist exactly as she has in the past and will likely do so until she dies. Lately, she has explored whether she has dissociative identity disorder, but it's a dead end road. I know people like this, and it's like a thin line between, like, they genuinely are not able to help themselves and it's really sad, versus they are manipulating you to use it as an excuse to not take responsibility for their actions. Like, we knew this person in college who constantly, she was actually our roommate. I lived with, like, multiple people. Um, she would ask for the answers to homework, but she didn't wanna do the homework. Like, if people would try and help her with the homework, she'd be like, "I can't, like, I'm too depressed," like, she didn't go to class, like, and then she would fail the test because, like, she was just getting copy and paste the answers to the homework, and so people stopped giving her the answers because it was not "You're not helping me, and, like, I'm hurting you because you're not learning anything." If you and I were going back and forth and, like, you helped me and I helped you, and, like, sometimes, every once in a while you needed homework answers, but it wasn't, like, a common thing, like, that's different. But it was every single assignment, every single day. And that was just one example, but if people were like, "Dude, you need to help yourself, like, let's go to therapy, like, we'll help you go to therapy, we'll help you, get the help you need," and we tried to be, like, supportive, and she refused to accept it. Like, if people weren't giving her answers to the homework or people weren't, like, feeling bad for her, she would just throw a fit. She literally threw a hellacious fit and ended up, like, I don't know, no one's friends with her anymore just because we tried to help, but she wouldn't help herself and, like, accept that she needed to help. And so we became the villains because we wouldn't give her homework answers or take on her responsibilities as our own. So yeah, that's one example I have of this where I'm like, you can help people, but if they don't accept that help, when does it become they are responsible for their actions and they're manipulating you to get what they want and they need help? But, like, if they don't get help, it's okay to, like, set boundaries? This is a really interesting topic. Definitely comment if you're able to, because I want to know your take on this, because I only have, at the end of the day, my experience and what I've lived through, and I would love to hear yours because maybe it's different. Anna is happy per her own admission, and I trust that. I don't have any reason to doubt that she's making the right decisions for her relationship and family. She's told me many times that she loves Bernice and that she intends to stay in the relationship. I appreciate that she is direct with me, but I can't earnestly be around Bernice for more than 5 minutes, and that sincerely impedes the amount of time I can spend with Anna, as Bernice attaches herself to Anna so intensely that it's like having a third child around when we are together. To Anna's credit, she is aware that I do not like to spend time around Bernice, but it's sad that we can't all socialize together well. She has never made me feel badly for this. I love Anna's 2 children. I would like them at my wedding, and I would love Anna to be at my wedding too. It wouldn't be the same without her, but imagining Bernice approaching a colleague or a friend makes my stomach churn. I'm struggling hard with the tactful way to say your wife will suck the life and energy out of my party by manipulating the attention of either you or my guests and potentially making them feel harassed in because of the sexy time comments. While still inviting Anna and her 2 kids to the event, I'm considering coming at it from a boundary-related standpoint and telling Anna that I can't have Bernice at the event, given how she makes people feel uncomfortable. I don't know if it presents a mean double standard to let other guests have a +1 and not Anna, but I can't have Bernice at my wedding. Okay. First things first, I think that I'm glad that she's aware of your thoughts towards Bernice and this isn't just like coming out of the blue because that kind of lays the groundwork. But you should just be honest. Like, don't try and beat around the bush and be like, yeah, no, we're not having plus ones because she's gonna find out you are when she gets to the wedding. I don't know. This is hard because it's on one hand, you kind of, it's your wedding and you can invite whoever you want. And clearly, like, she does make people uncomfortable and it's your day. So you don't want to have that stress. But at the same time, are you willing to put your relationship with Anna on the line? Because, Anna sounds great. She sounds incredible. She sounds so understanding. But at the end of the day, Bernice is her wife. So I don't know where, like, you're her best friend. That's her wife. Where would she fall in that, right? They are married, right? Yes. She may side with her. Maybe sit her down and say, hey, if you bring her, she's your liability. Like, if she says something, which she probably will, based on her past, if she does something, it is on you. Like, you need to babysit her. But if I were you, I would probably still be uncomfortable even if I said that. So I don't know. The top comment for this post is be honest. Tell her that while you would love for her and her kids to come, you should feel very uncomfortable around Bernice because of her history of overstepping sexual boundaries and will not extend her an invite. Say it apologetically and tell Anna that you completely understand if she would rather not attend at all. And if so, then you'd be happy to reconnect with her separately sometime after the wedding. And then the top comment, like, in response to that is, this is the right advice. Outline what your concern might happen and why past instances of this behavior, and tell her that even if nothing ended up happening, you'd spend your wedding worrying about it. Set your boundaries. Bernice isn't welcome at the wedding, and allow her to make her own choice. If she decides not to come because this, you need to accept it. Edit to add. Also be sure to center the conversation on specific behaviors and not that she's neurodivergent. Then the OOP commented in response to that and said, thank you. I agree that the random, unsolicited, sexy time requests are probably the most obvious fault to point when justifying her lack of invitation. I know I don't owe anyone a justification, but she is my friend, and I do want to be honest with her. I think it's important to keep in perspective that Anna might not attend, and I want to make it okay for her to tell me that. Exactly. Like, at the end of the day, that could be what happens. So this is the first update. And so while that was May 4th, 2023, this is January 2nd, 2024. So it's a little bit further out. And this is what it says. We're married now, and the wedding was wonderful. I'm so happy to hear that. Wonderful, but bittersweet. I realize now, and when I eventually spoke to Anna, that the wonderful part was having the management and dread I was experiencing of Bernice's presence off my plate when I already had so many other elements to worry about to ensure the success of our special day. So, one thing I want to add before we get into this is another great reason why people have wedding planners or wedding coordinators. Now, I would not say to the wedding planner, you need to babysit Bernice all night because they have a million other things that they're doing. But if she's someone that it's like, oh, she tends to be like kind of inappropriate, like maybe it's something where like, yeah, after she drinks, like later, whatever, just keep an eye on her. That would be something that you could tell your wedding planner, like, just keep an eye on her every once in a while, like, make sure she's not being crazy. But if it's something where you want someone to watch her all day, the entire time, then yeah, that's not something that you could have your wedding planner do. When I spoke with Anna, I tried to provide as much perspective as I could and center my concrete experiences with Bernice over my feelings. Anna sent a thumbs up emoji and we haven't spoken since, and I doubt we'll ever speak again. Oh, okay. Well, there goes me thinking she was understanding because maybe she wasn't. Bernice messaged me separately and said something along the lines of, oh, well, I know people think I'm annoying. I thought you'd understand. And I didn't respond. I reflected a great deal on my relationship with Anna, and I realized that so much of it was rooted in managing the codependence she shared in her relationship, and that our friendship hadn't looked the way it did when we were in university together for a long time. In the time that passed after we stopped speaking, a great emotional weight was lifted off my chest, realizing that so many of the problems and annoyances Anna had brought to me were no longer mine to solve as a result of her not having a supportive adult partner in her life. While I loved her and loved helping her troubleshoot, I was taking on a role that was outsized and ultimately caused resentment on my end. Yeah, that's a tough pill to swallow. Like, relationships change so much, especially after, like, if after you graduate high school, your relationship with your friends in high school is going to change. After you graduate college, your relationship with your college friends is going to change. And there are people you may outgrow. I just can't understand why she's married to Bernice. Like, what good quality does this woman have? What does she do that Anna is like, yes, that's my girl? Like, it just sounds like she's not very nice. She doesn't respect their relationship, unless it is an open relationship and we just don't know that. She doesn't help around the house ish. Like, is that the vibe I'm getting? Like, what does she do to be like a good partner? I don't know. I don't like that. And I don't know if I'd want my kids around someone like that, but it's not my marriage, so I can't really say that. I'm trying to be mindful of the friendships I have now and the roles I play with each person and how I interact and engage with each person's significant other. While this friendship was unsalvageable, I believe it offers a beneficial lesson for my other relationships. Thanks to all of you for your advice, kindness, and especially your compliments towards my writing style. It just flows out of me. Yeah, you are a pretty good writer. I love that for you, bestie. So, there's actually an update from February 17th, 2026. So, literally over 2 years later. OP checking in here. Thought about this over 2 years and I realized I owed an update, some clarity, and a little info. I know this is late as heck, but I didn't realize this thread was here after the initial content was removed. I'm glad it was saved for posterity. I'm grateful to the comments from people who empathize with me, and I'm grateful for the comments challenging some of the language I used in my means of communication. Here are a few clarifying facts, but first, the update. My 2025 update. Someone who used to run in the same circle as Anna and I, another friend from university, told me that one of Anna's children is estranged from her now and lives with an aunt, and also that Anna is now in a full-time BDSM slave relationship with Bernice that is obvious enough for an acquaintance to pick up on. Oh no. I was also worried, like, with all of those sexy time comments for the kids. Like, I know that not everyone who has, like, a very sexual personality, is very sexual, is into children, but when you put all of it together, I don't know, it just raises, like, concern for me. Not necessarily that that is an issue, but it's something I would definitely, like, look into. The dad has been out of the picture for a long time, so it's always just Anna and her kids until Bernice entered the picture. I haven't spoken to, heard from, or engaged with Anna or Bernice or the kids. Bernice had a partner move in who was about 25 years younger than she is. To my knowledge, that person is also her full-time sex slavey girl. That's not great. Elaborations on the situation. Yes, Bernice is trans. Plot twist, I'm also a trans woman. My anxiety over being transphobic towards another trans person, especially one with a history of mental illness, made me lose sleep. I hope that explains the comments about transphobia. I didn't see any, but maybe there were. This was never a post about a perfect neurotypical hetero People magazine wedding where the only outlier was a trans boogeyman. I mean, yeah, for me personally, like when I'm reading stuff like that, whether you're trans or not, like, you're still a human. So I understand for you, like, speaking to another person who is in a minority and also very often attacked group of people, I understand how you can feel that way towards someone else. But reading that, I don't think it makes a difference in how I think that, like, it was handled, because whether she is a part of the trans community or not, she still should act a certain way. Like, she still should be very, I don't know, act, like, with some sort of respect when she's around you guys. Yeah. Continuing. As for Bernice's choice of garb, nothing to do with her passing or not passing, or having hair or not having hair. Her clothes didn't fit. They weren't appropriate for this season or occasion. If she wasn't an absolute tool, I'd have taken the girl dress shopping with me and covered the cost of the dress. And again, she didn't shower. I feel like asking guests to bathe and adhere to a dress code is a very low bar for entry for a wedding. I wasn't asking Bernice to spend money or wear a certain color or perform outside of what I considered the social norm for a wedding. My grandpa showed up in a t-shirt. I didn't care. A few friends got a little tipsy and knocked over a vase of flowers at one point. Totally fine. My friends cleaned up and apologized. My grandpa shook the hands of every guest. It's about Bernice as a person. And that's what makes the difference. Like, not the same thing, but last week I was in a coffee shop and I was literally in a meeting and my phone died and my computer was connected to my hotspot. And so when it died, I got kicked from the meeting, and it was like a work meeting with a bunch of people in it. So I jumped up to run and go check what the Wi-Fi password was for the cafe, and I spilled my drink. Like, it was a glass. It, like, fell on the ground. It was so quiet in there, and everybody looked at me, and I was so apologetic. And it's like, if something like that happens, no one's perfect. nobody, or what is it? Nobody's perfect. Is that what they say in all the cliche things? Like, we're all gonna do silly little things. It's how you go about it. You apologize. You make up for it. You don't make people feel uncomfortable. There's a right time and a place. Sending Anna a text wasn't my preference at all. It was a last resort. I should have included context that I had asked Anna several times to get together in person to have a conversation about the wedding. At first, the responses were, "Great. When can Bernice and I come over?" And when I asked to meet alone and she asked why, I said it was about Bernice. Anna refused to meet alone or discuss Bernice and the wedding at all. I think she had an idea this may have been coming and was in deep denial. Literally, the only way I could communicate the message to Anna was through text. Why not email? Because they shared a effing email account. Should I have involved Bernice in the conversation and emailed or just had her in person? I still wonder about that sometimes. I fear that there should have been an intervention because we can say all day Bernice is dragging Anna down with her. Anna's old enough to make her own choices, but like this is getting into obtrusive behavior, and she definitely Anna needed an intervention 2 years ago, and I worry about her because you like clearly sharing an email account and like having that number of control is like one red flag, but when you put that with the BESM, you put that with the why is she with her? Like what is going on there? It makes me feel like there is some sort of, like, manipulation and emotional something going on where she needs to be not rescued from the relationship, but she needs to be aware that this is not healthy or normal. That brings me to another point. When I said, but to nobody's surprise, she leverages neurodivergence as a mean of asserting how special she is, instead of using it as a pathway to improve her relationships and sense of self, that was a literal statement, not my own judgment. In conversation, she would speak of an old manager who fired her after a week on the job or an encounter with a stranger at the grocery store, and the conclusion would always be, it's because they're ableist because I'm autistic. Or, well, obviously you wouldn't understand why I ask people to have sexy time with me. I'm a direct communicator and you should educate yourself about autism. Okay, people who have autism still have morals. And I get some things are like impulsive, and you have to say it. Like it's like, oh, I'm direct, I have to say it. But still, there should be a level of morality. If you're married to someone, you shouldn't be cheating. Like, why is no one bringing that up? Also, you should just know, like, depending on how far on the spectrum she is, you should still, maybe she doesn't know better, but if she's at that point, then that would be the issue where it's like she needs help. Like, if she is unable to know right from wrong, that she needs a caretaker, and maybe Anna is her caretaker, but that is something where she is disabled when your autism is at that level where you can't clearly make good judgment. You need someone around you 24/7 to make sure you don't end up in very, very severe situations. And it's a spectrum for a reason. Like there are people who are just a little like they're high functioning, but morally things are not great. There's people who are very low functioning and they can't do anything on their own. It is a spectrum, so it's hard to know when it's time to step in and have a caretaker. But when this is the case and she can't care for herself and she can't have a conversation and be a normal part of society, then it is time to have a caretaker or send her to therapy where she can understand, like, you can live with autism and to a certain degree still function normally. And if she can't, then that's when the conversation comes in. But it's hard to know where she is function-wise and when it becomes manipulation versus not knowing better and not having the functionality to understand. But to me, as an outsider, it sounds like she is functioning just fine and understands, and she's using it as an excuse. But I'm gonna say that, like, take it with a grain of salt because obviously I don't know her personally. Um, and I don't know everything about autism. I don't personally have it. The people I know who have it are very high functioning, so I haven't really met people further on the spectrum. I do know a lot about it from research because for a while, everyone thought I had it, but it turns out OCD and autism have very similar traits. So yeah, I don't know everything there is to know, so don't take my word for it and be like, wow, why would she say that? Because I'm not the most educated. There are people out there who know more than me, who live with it, who have siblings who are autistic and have more of an experience with it. So I would love to know your take on that if you are someone who has experience with it, but be nice. That's all I ask is like, don't come at me or anybody else with, like, super defensive, super rude comments. Like, I love the discourse. I love learning something new, and I try to come at you guys with the most respectful takes and, like, try to tell you guys, like, "This is how I feel. Feel free to disagree and tell me about it, but I want your respect in return," if that makes sense. So, not all of you. There's only a couple of you that tend to be a little rude, but, you know, we're going to continue reading this, though. She continues by saying, "I'm neurodivergent. My husband is neurodivergent. She is unfortunately the exact worst stereotype of several marginalized populations, most of whom are completely functional. Bernice is the 1% of people who are just not. She's a person, and I treat her like a person, albeit a person I truly disliked. I'm not allowed to have boundaries." Regarding the conversation, it would have turned from "this is what I need from you to attend my wedding," or for you to not attend, to "you hate me because I'm autistic," with zero self-reflection or personal accountability. I wasn't asking her to suppress her transness. I was asking her to suppress the most uncomfortable, dangerous, off-putting parts of her personality. Neurodivergent is not a mental illness. Autism is not a mental illness. There was something additional going on in addition to Bernice's autism that I could not identify, but from a behavioral standpoint struck me as a mental illness and not neurodivergence alone. I should have been more specific in my language. That is another thing. Like, we tend to throw around mentally ill, and neurodivergence, things like that, and there are very specific definitions for each. I think that, like, in slang language, I guess is a good way to put it. Like, in slang, when we're talking about these things, we do, like, use terms interchangeably that are not. So I understand, like, where people could be like, "That's not correct," and we should use them correctly, I agree. But it has become so normal not, so it's kind of become, like, in, like, informal slang communication to say things that we use interchangeably that are not. Does that make sense? Maybe it doesn't. I don't know. Maybe my brain's just, like, broken. I'm kind of burnt out, so my brain is not, like, functioning at its fastest or at its best. So if I say something and you're like, that didn't make sense," it made sense in my head. It's just we're working through it. We're sleeping. We're trying to sleep off the burnout. Center my concrete experiences equals one time Anna watched my two dogs for a weekend and Bernice let them out for a walk and they were lost for most of the day. Anna apologized. Bernice pretended it was an honest mistake and that she always lets her dogs out and they always just come back. Oh, that angers me because I have 3 dogs. One of them, we can open the back door and he will go out and then come back in. 2 of them, we open the back door and they're gone like bullets. Mainly because one of ours is part husky and she takes off, and then our German Shepherd is like, I must care for her and make sure she gets back home safely, so he follows her to babysit her until she comes back. But not one dog is all dogs. All dogs are different. One time we had a dinner party with some of our shared friends and made 2 roast chickens. I carved it into pieces, breast, leg, and thigh. Bernice took 4 pieces to herself, and I split a piece with my then boyfriend, now husband. She ate it and said, "It's fine, but here's how I would have cooked it." Bernice and Anna once stopped by while they were in the area, and when I was catching up with the kids, Bernice went into the kitchen, opened up an unopened bottle of wine, and poured herself a glass to the brim, then offered Anna, the designated driver, a glass. Anna did not accept and did not drink and drive. One time I met up with Anna at a park with her kids and another couple I know with kids. Bernice had the day off and showed up unexpectedly and started talking about how she brought Anna a ball gag the other day and how good it looked. Oh no. In front of my friends' kids. I confronted each of these indigents as I saw fit. Indigents? New word alert. I forgave the chicken. I asked her directly not to discuss kink in front of minors. Something special interest. I was enraged about the dogs, but forgave Anna because she immediately jumped into action, and this was at the start of Bernice being Bernice. All this to say it wasn't just a laundry list of mean things because I'm a big old meanie. I sent Anna money when her car broke down and she couldn't get to work. I always sent birthday gifts to her kids and came to their parties. I was front row at t-ball games when I could make them. I offered her a lot of emotional support when she had issues with her kid's dad or her kids or work. She did that for me, but that went down significantly after she started seeing Bernice. I don't think I ever intruded or overstepped in Anna's life. I wasn't jealous of Bernice, and Anna and I never had a romantic or sexy time type of relationship together. Being complimented on how I wrote this was appreciated because it was cathartic to have validation after a traumatic event. Do you think I wanted to further isolate a nearly lifelong friend and a fellow trans woman and terminate this friendship? This was a hard effing decision. The wedding was just the catalyst. If it hadn't been the wedding, it would have been a funeral or a child's birthday party or another behavioral incident. There's only so much a person can take. To throw Bernice a bone, not a sexy time one, they were in an open and ethical relationship. Okay, that answers my question because it's like, cheating is a hard no for me. Like, once you cheat, we're done here. Uh, there's nothing else, like, I just can't stand it. So it's good to know that it was open. Ethical being that Anna knew Bernice was always trying to find people to have sexy time with. Using events involving more than two people as a swingers mixer, not ethical. But Bernice is not a cheater. I don't know why Anna thought this flirting was acceptable. Bernice was confrontational and abrasive if people expressed opinions in conversations she didn't like. She only had two areas of interest, but a lot of opinions about politics, sports. She was the kind of person to call things sports ball, celebrities, and food. This included small group conversations she might not have been a part of, like the type you might see at a wedding, for instance. If someone said to someone else, Lego Indiana Jones sucks and I like Bernice's least favorite video game, at the party, it would not have been unlikely that Bernice would have gotten in that person's face and shouted at them, then justified it because of autism. Shouting is not euphemistic here. Bernice was effing loud. I don't know why I was the only one in the friend group who found Bernice's behavior offensive and excluded her over time. I think that honestly, I think it's because autism is such a sensitive topic that as soon as she said that, people are like, I don't want to touch that with a 10-foot pole. Because the line is so blurred between her behaving badly and her behaving badly because of her autism. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, this is a hard one. And I really want to know your guys' opinion on it and what you think. Because it's hard to know how much the autism affects her behavior and how much is just her being a bad person. Because we don't know this person personally and we don't know where they're at on the spectrum and we don't know how functioning they are. For all I know, other friends were uncomfortable but didn't feel like they could confront it. I think it's great that people included her, and please know that I tried really hard. Nobody likes it when their friend is a jerk about their boyfriend or girlfriend, and I did my best to make Bernice feel welcome and tried to get to know her. This post was the culmination of a lot of headaches for very little reciprocation for Anna. Bernice was the explosion, but Anna was the slow-burning fuse. I saw something that tugged on my heartstrings this year and reminded me of Anna, so I dusted off my older brother's old Wii and played a little Lego Indiana Jones. It was great. I wish Bernice had been tolerable enough for me to tell her that it was a fun game. Now that I'm reflecting on all of this, Bernice might be narcissistic. Thanks for the lesson in lowercase versus uppercase narcissism distinction, everyone. So she did say lowercase narcissistic. I learned this recently that when people say narcissistic, but they're not meaning the formal diagnosis, they're talking about having traits of narcissism, not necessarily being a narcissist and like being diagnosed. So that is something that can get confusing. I think that in this scenario, she's talking about having narcissistic traits. I don't think I'll have any further updates after this. Thanks for the support, the laughs, the encouragement, and the constructive criticism. Finally, I'm not identifying them or providing any photos. If I'm allowed to rip on their gross behavior online, they're allowed to stay anonymous. No more requests. If you know someone like them, nip it in the bud. I waited and it escalated badly. Know your boundaries and stick to them. Wow, that was quite the episode. That was quite long. But I'll read the top comment from this and then we'll do one more story. So this top comment is, center my concrete experiences equals a bunch of appalling acts. I think there is a sort of twisted version of that children's story about the missing piece. For every type of absolutely effed up person, there's some person who perfectly slots into that and wants to. Bernice is just going through life doing whatever the F she wants, and in the process, she randomed across Anna, a person who apparently really, really wants to be subservient to that kind of person. I imagine it's almost freeing in a way. Bernice gets to go into people's homes, crack open new bottles of wine, and indulge heavily, and those people either put up with it or they remove her from their lives, and she gets to just tell herself it's not her fault. They're the bad guys. And maybe the next house she goes into and acts like it's hers will be people who are cool with it. There's no downside from her point of view. She's a effing monster straight up, and it doesn't have anything to do with being neurodivergent or trans. Good. I'm glad that someone is validating that, because again, it's so hard to say like when the neurodivergence comes in and like the appalling behavior is. So I'm glad that someone said like, no, she's a horrible person. Cause that makes me feel validated. Because I feel bad saying that. Like I feel bad being like, yeah, she's neurodivergent, but she's terrible. Because it is an uncomfortable conversation. But these are the conversations I want to have. Because like whether she is neurodivergent or not, or trans or not, or whatever, you are always validated to feel the way you feel. And if she is mistreating you and doesn't listen to the boundaries you are setting, then you are completely validated to no longer want to associate with her. It's sad that sometimes people do have, some sort of neurodivergence where they aren't able to control it. But at what point is it like whoever is choosing to bring them around is viewing them as like it should be their responsibility or their liability, so to speak? At what point does it become your, I don't want to say problem, but your job to take her on as a liability for like your wedding or for situations around kids or things like that? Like, you are perfectly okay to not want to take on that. So the top comment that is a response to that one is, took too long to find someone questioning Anna's whole behavior and permitting all that went down. With all the talk about Bernice's action behavior, I feel like Anna is way off base. She was willing to throw away a long-time friendship after a text. She never met OOP where she was at just to have some solo hangs without Bernice. She also allowed herself to become estranged from her children because of her sexy time activities. It makes me wonder how Anna was complicit in all of Bernice's actions. That's what I'm thinking too. Like, what is going on in Anna's head? I don't know. Am I, 35 female, pushing marriage too soon? He, 34 male, says he's not ready, but I definitely am. I feel like this is very relevant to today's day and age with like the whole if he wanted to, he would. And like, I don't know, I'm in my like mid-20s, so I see this a lot. So I'm excited to hear about this. Original post was February 13th, 2015. My boyfriend Scott and I have been dating for just over 2.5 years. We've lived together for almost a year now and have 3 cats together. That time frame could go either way. I started saying like I want to get married at like 2 years. And I feel like it has a lot to do with like living in the South where everyone gets married. I feel like 6 months. I know a lot of people that got married before they could even drink alcohol or like graduate college. And that was concerning to me personally because like, how do you know who you are when you're that young? But not my marriage, not my place to say anything. But 2.5 years, I feel like, is around the time when you start talking about that. Neither of us are happy in our hometown, and we've been making plans to move, hopefully this summer. We have a deal that if I can't find a job elsewhere by May, then he will start looking for a new job as well. It's harder for me to find a job than it is for him, as my field is fairly limited. I really want to move, so I'm willing to work in anything if need be. We're making these plans for the future together, and I think that marriage is the natural next step in our relationship. I don't want to move out of state without having that commitment, plus our families are here. It will be much harder to get everyone together for a wedding if we move. He says he's just not ready for that yet, and anytime I try to talk to him about it, he clams up. He says that he loves me and wants to marry me, but just not right now. I love him, and I know he loves me, and if we're already planning our future together, why can't marriage be a part of that? So, this is something also that I think is relevant. You're 35 and he's 34. Generalizing this, because I know everybody is different, but in general, at 34, men should be mature enough to start considering marriage. There are some that are not, but also you're 35. I'm thinking about like in the event you want kids, you didn't say whether you did or not. You don't have to get married to have kids, but for like me personally, I want to be married before I have kids. But say they want to get married and then have kids, she's already 35, and biologically that is so stressful to worry about. Like, I'm 26 and I'm already stressed about having kids and like where I'm going to be and where my body's going to be at. And this is in 2015 where it wasn't as popular to push back getting married, so I can only imagine how much society is like putting pressure on her. And yeah, I don't know, like, ask him why he's not ready and then have that conversation. Like, I don't, yeah, I have a hard time siding with men in this because it's like, why are you not ready? Like, what do you need? And then work on that. But if they can't come up with an answer, it's like, I'm giving you the side eye. Relevant backstory. I've been married before. I met my ex-husband James when I was 19 and he was 28 and it was my first serious relationship. Red flag. We got married when I was 21 and I divorced him 7 years later. He was a selfish, narcissistic liar, and it really screwed me up for a long time. Yeah, just a rule of thumb, if you are 19 or very young and someone way older, almost a decade older, is coming after you, especially if it's a man and you're like a woman, a lot of times the case is he cannot find a woman his age putting up with his behavior. So he's looking for someone younger who isn't as well versed in like that, like they're more naive. Also, the other case is he wants someone he can manipulate, and like if you're younger, it's usually easier to do that. So yeah, just a rule of thumb, if you're younger and you're out dating, be very, very, very careful because there are diamonds in the rough, but more often than not, that is how the relationship happens. I've had a lot of issues with anxiety left over from the marriage and from growing up in a very bad home. I swore I would never get married again, but then I met Scott. Scott is the anti-James, the exact opposite in almost everything. I didn't think guys like Scott existed until I met him, and that's when I realized how badly I wanted to marry him. I think that life is too short to waste time, and I want to start the next chapter of our life together. It really hurts that he doesn't feel the same way about it. Look, I don't want to pressure him into marrying me, and I promised him that I wouldn't push him about it, but we're in our mid-30s. I don't want to be dating for 10 years before we get married. He says he wants kids, even if we have to adopt them. I just don't want to be raising my kids in my 60s and even 70s. That's another good point that I didn't even think about. It's hard because it's like you don't want a shut up ring, but you also were like, what is the plan here? Like, what are we doing? Because I do have plans. And like, I thought that you were on board about that. And if you're not, why? Like, it's a really it's a really hard line because you're like, mm, I don't like the last thing I want is for you to get engaged just because I'm nagging you, but also, what are we doing here, buddy? Like, what's going on? I need some outside perspective on this. How do I handle the disappointment with this issue? I thought he was going to propose several times these past few months and then nothing. Edited to add that he didn't start dating until he was almost 30. He had one serious relationship before me that lasted a few years, but she cheated on him and they broke up. His parents had a nasty divorce and he was a late teenager, so I'm thinking that might have something to do with it. Yeah, it sounds like he's inexperienced and also had some trauma, so he's like, I don't want that to happen again. But if he's not opening up to you about it, then how can you move forward? Like, Relevant and top comment, if he's not sure after 2.5 years at the age of 34, it's very likely that he'll never be ready. If marriage is important to you, it's time to have one more serious conversation, and if he's unwilling to get married, it's time for you to move on. Here's an update from 1 week later, so February 21st, 2015. Update, we're getting married. I read all of your advice and took a lot of it to heart. I told Scott we needed to have a serious discussion about our future and that I needed an actual reason for not wanting to get married yet. Good. I love when like Reddit and I like that's so great. We all had shared the same brain cell there. It took a while, but he finally admitted that he was nervous about such a big life change. He finally said that yes, let's get married, and I got on my knee and proposed to him. It was really sweet. We picked out an engagement ring earlier this week, and we just put a deposit down on a venue. He's done a 180 on his attitude about it and is now very excited about planning the wedding in our future. Thanks for the advice, everyone. One more happy ending here. Edited to add that I did not push him into it. I did not trick him, nor did I whine my way into an engagement ring. We had an adult discussion where we talked through everything he was concerned about. He never said he didn't want to get married, just was wishy-washy about when. Relevant and top comments. Everyone kind of seems conflicted, but comment number 1. Honestly, sometimes it takes a little push. My boyfriend's brother was with his girlfriend for 4 years. He wanted to get married but was afraid of any conversation or action related to it. She finally had to tell him, if we want this venue, we need to start planning our wedding now. His family had to help him push him along too. He loves her to death, but is just not a commitment guy and was afraid of the lifestyle change. They're perfectly happy planning their wedding now, and his proposal was beautiful, even though it happened almost 3 months after they decided to get married. He couldn't figure out how to do it. Long story short, I don't think that just because someone is hesitant to get married, it means they're going to go back out later. Some people genuinely just need that little nudge to show them that marriage doesn't need to be a huge stress-filled relationship change. I agree. It depends a lot on how relationships were for them growing up. Like, is everyone they know that got married divorced now? Because then it's like, oh, marriage just ends in divorce. So I don't want to lose this person. So I'm not going to marry them because then I will. Like, there are people who think like that. Or it's a situation of like they've never been in a lot of relationships themselves. So they have like that question about it. It's their parents are divorced and they had to go through that. Like, there's so many reasons other than they just don't want to and they're like dragging you along. I feel like the show The Ultimatum made everyone think that, like, a lot of people, when they say they don't want to get married or they're pushing it off, it's because they just don't want to, but there are a lot of reasons why. So I'm glad that they got to the bottom of it. But there is 2 more comments and multiple updates. So, comment number 2 says, as a woman, I'm confused as to why we feel we need to push a significant other into an engagement or marriage. I don't want to be pressured into anything I'm not ready for. Is this a common occurrence among long-term couples? Not bringing rude, just genuinely curious. OOP said, I didn't push him into it. He came to the decision on his own. We talked about it like adults and he decided for himself. Comment 3 said, I want to be happy for you, but this just doesn't feel right. 8 years later, June 30th, 2023, there is an update. Post titled, Parents who were dead set on never having kids before they met the one, did it end up being a good decision or do you regret it? Hey, that's me. I was extremely kid-free until I met my husband at 33. He wanted kids and made me want to have kids too. I realized it wasn't necessarily that I didn't want kids before, it was more that I didn't want kids with any of my previous partners. 11 years and one kid later, I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life. My daughter is my heart outside of my body. No regrets. That's a great one to end on. That is such a happy ending, guys. Okay. I love to hear that. We're just gonna end it on that. So definitely let me know your thoughts if you are on mainly Spotify or YouTube. I think those are the two that you can comment on. But if you're on another platform where you can, definitely let me know. I love you guys so much. I upload every single Sunday. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, whatever the term is. Leave a rating or a review if you're on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Takes 2 seconds, is free, helps me reach my dream, and you would just be like my favorite person ever if you did that. So yeah, I'll catch you guys in the flippity flip. I love you so much. And that's it. Bye, guys.